All right, what is up, everybody? Let's talk a little Washington Commanders football. Let's do it. It's been a minute since I've been able to do a Washington video. Chris loves doing the videos on Washington, so I never get a chance. But if you are new to this channel, what we do here is we talk about the teams that the national media kind of ignores. And it doesn't seem like the nation's capital should be a team that the national media ignores. But unfortunately, some of your biggest rivals, the Giants, the Eagles, the Cowboys, seem to get all of the attention, and I'm sick of it. So we started doing Commanders content a year or two ago on here. It has been a great response, so thank you so much for watching. We are Detroit Lions fans, and our hope is that we give you a non-biased view of what your team is doing. And right now, I got a double dose of good news for all of you that I think you're going to be really excited to hear about. You got two rookies that are absolutely standing out in organized team activities, otherwise known as OTAs. Did you just see that whole thing shake? More proof that this is a one-take situation over here. I just rocked this table. So anyways, one you're going to know about. We've already done a video on how I thought he was a great pickup. But the first one we are going to talk about is someone that most of you probably didn't even know was on this team. It is a running back by the name of Jakori, Kroski, Merritt. All right? Why don't you know about him? I'm going to show you exactly why you don't know about Jakori, Kroski, Merritt. All right? For starters, when you look here at PFF, you noticed high grades, but here's something that's very unique. He only played in one game at Arizona last year. He transferred to Arizona, and then I believe the NCAA did not grant him that. So he played one game, and in what is a shame, was told, you're done. This is a guy that before that, all he did was go for 6.3 yards per attempt for almost 1,200 yards and 17 touchdowns at New Mexico. All right, I want to say it was at New Mexico. And this is a guy where you look at him and you're just like, oh boy, this is different. This is unique. He's a one-cut guy, but he also was drafted in the 7th round, picked 245, I believe it is. So naturally, you're going to think to yourself, oh, you know what? He's probably not that good of an athlete. False. He is that good of an athlete. If you know me, I love RAS because you can actually put numbers to a page on how good of an athlete someone is. It's not just an eye test. All right? Yes, you can see guys run away from people at a non-Power 5 or Power 4 school. All right? I get that. And you saw that with him. However, you don't know what that speed actually looks like until you have numbers. Now we have him to back it up. Now, he runs like a one-cut power back. Like he reminds me of all the running backs you would have seen back in the late 90s, early 2000s, into the mid-2000s Denver Broncos, right? One-cut backs that are all 1,000-yard backs somehow. All right? It's a good Kubiak scheme. Anyways, with all that being said, you're not here to hear about the old school Denver Broncos. You're here to hear about the new school Commanders. All right, so he has elite speed. You don't get a lot of 4.4 running backs. He was in the 92nd percentile for fastest running back ever tested. All right, he was in the 87th and 98th percentile in the 10-yard split. That 98th percentile in the 10-yard split, when you have a guy that is going to come in and be really, really good in that first cut, that's a big deal. Like, that's a really big deal. And so he comes in, he has that first cut, and then he can get into open space quickly. That's what you want to see. So he is that guy. He is that kind of guy. He absolutely is, and someone that I think you're going to be really excited to see in the backfield. But then I went on just to look a little bit deeper into what he is and what he is doing. His speed and explosiveness is something that stood out from the rest. So let's kind of check out what we're looking at when you look at the rest of your roster, because I think there's a place for him here. All right. I keep saying I have Brian Robinson on most of my fantasy football teams, right? And here's the thing that's crazy about Brian Robinson. When you look at him, he's there. he has been an effective running back, but he's gotten injured a little bit here and there, right? But then you look at him, and they continue not. It was a loaded running back class, and they waited till the 7th round. And you're sitting here and you're wondering, all right, maybe they're just happy with what they have in Brian Robinson, Austin Eckler, and Jeremy McNichols, and even Chris Rodriguez, if they're going to play him. But a place for Jakori, Kroski, Merritt is real, because when you look at McNichols, he's pushing 30. Austin Eckler is 30. All right, and Chris Rodriguez Jr., well, you can say what you want to say about him. He's not this... he's not a bad athlete, but he's not quite the explosive athlete that you're necessarily looking for. Here he is coming out of college that you get in some of these other guys. So I think there's a world that by the end of the season, the primary running back, like hand him the ball, see what he can do behind Brian Robinson, is this guy. And he gives you some of that insurance when Brian Robinson's hurt. So I think that's something that is pretty cool and something that's exciting to see. All right, now, the second bit of good news that I promised I was going to continue to give you. We talked about cornerback Trey Amos and how I thought he could be an absolute steal at pick number 61 in the NFL draft. An absolute steal. And he's already proving to do that. All right, so you have Lattimore out there. You have Mikey Sainer still. That's great. All right, you get free agent Jonathan Jones. But here's the thing. Lattimore's not been out in OTAs, right? He's been out. So Trey Amos is getting the opportunity. The Commanders put out a video just yesterday of him breaking up a pass that was intended for Deebo Samuel. By the way, really courageous move by the Commanders PR team is showing your newly acquired trade that is supposed to be an absolute stud as a wide receiver getting a play broken up by a rookie corner. But whatever. Hey, do what you got to do. He has the opportunity to show coaches that he can't only play right away, but he can start. Amos and Lattimore are more outside guys. Ideally, you want to have Sainer still in the slot. You just do. He proved he could play outside corner last year. He did. And Jones has that inside-outside flexibility. So if you have an ideal world, what you want is Lattimore and Amos on the outside, locking down the outside. You want Sainer still in the nickel, and then Jones is your number one backup at all three positions. That is what you want to have as a Commanders fan, and it looks like you're moving in that direction as Amos just looks right in those in those colors. Sometimes you see a player and you're like, yeah, he's going to be good. Amos, he's the guy. He's the guy. Seeing him in number 23 playing right, it's going to be fun to watch for Commanders fans. Get excited. Even though you had a great year last year, there's still new players. There's so much room on this roster for opportunity. It's really exciting to see. All right, thanks for watching. See you on the next one.